It happens, especially in a mania market. So, we touched on Art Blocks so far. Art Blocks is an area that you're known for, and you've got some really great ones. I'd love to hear your thesis on Art Blocks and, maybe the current state of affairs with them. Obviously, actually, when you came on our show, it was right after the most recent curated or second most recent curated drop happened. You're a Fidenza owner. I know you have some other really great ones. We've been talking more about the fine art side of NFTs and the potential for the traditional art market to come in and kind of get us back to the levels of the peak bull run valuation on some of these projects in the future. I would just love to hear like your take on Art Blocks, how you think about it, what your long-term plan is, kind of everything Art Blocks.
Yeah, I mean, Art Blocks is my highest conviction play or thing in the entire NFT space, perhaps the crypto space. I've been saying this lately. It's like I love betting on people, and there's two people I bet on more than anyone. One is Vitalik, and so ETH, and then the other is Snowfro, the founder of Art Blocks, because I love everything he's done here. And but you take those two people away, and ETH will continue, and Art Blocks will continue without them. So I think that's one of the powerful things about it. Art Blocks is a platform for releasing generative art, on-chain generative art generated at the time of mint. And I love it because it's really using the blockchain and blockchain technology in a way that is innovative and novel, and creating something that literally could not be possible without the blockchain. A lot of this other stuff you can kind of say, all right, yeah, that exists without blockchain technology. That's just, all right, we're just doing the exact same thing, but on chain. But with generative art, it's a type of art that's been around. So generative art is like art that's created by code or computers, or something like this. For example, this Fidenza, an artist did not draw these colors with a paintbrush or on their iPad or in Photoshop or something like that. The artist, Tyler Hobbs, he wrote code, and the code said, all right, at X or Y coordinates, draw this color, draw this line, blah, 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 blah. And it's something that's existed as a medium or genre of art since the 60s, I think, 60s and 70s, and in various forms. But it's always been extraordinarily niche and very, it hasn't had any sort of mainstream attention. And the way that generative artists, even, up until a few years ago, would sell their work was they would create a system, an algorithm, generate, hundreds, thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of outputs, and then pick like 5 or 10 and be like, oh, these ones are great. I'm going to sell these. And maybe they sell them as prints or something like that. With Art Blocks and the blockchain, what becomes possible is the ability to upload the code that would create the art to the blockchain. And then at the time of mint, someone goes to the Art Blocks website, clicks mint, and then the output is created and sold and transferred all at the same time. So the artist doesn't know what the output is going to look like exactly. They created the algorithm. They have some idea. They can say, all right, it's going to have like maybe these color palettes or maybe like these flow fields or something like that. But they don't know exactly what it's going to look like. They don't get to curate it. It means that the algorithm has to be sophisticated enough so that basically all of the outputs look good. Because it's kind of crap if someone creates an algorithm where they could generate 1,000 of them, pick 10 that look great, and they're like, all right, let's sell these 10. The other 900 are bad. But now they have to sort of rethink things, and it really takes a level of sophistication and skill to code something where 1,000 people can come to the website and go click mint and be like, oh, this looks cool, this is nice looking art, but also it's part of the same body of work and same algorithm. So one of the taglines of Art Blocks is, when you mint, you're getting a 1 of 1 of X. So Fidenza, there's 999 of them. When you mint, you get a 1 of 1. It's completely unique. No one else in the world has it. But it's 1 of 1 of 999. There's 999 of them. You can tell, like you look at 50 Fidenzas, you can also say, all right, these are part of the same collection, but they're still distinctive and unique. And it's sort of one of the other nice things is because it is generated at the time of mint, the buyer is involved in the creation process. So it takes the hash from the transaction, like the Ethereum transaction, and it inputs that into the algorithm. So that's something that is unique to the buyer. And so like there's a real relationship between the minter and the artist and the final piece. And I think that all of this together, it just makes it really incredible and magical. and it all lives on chain as well, effectively on chain. So Artblocks as a platform could disappear tomorrow. Snowthrow could pack up shop. The Discord could disappear. The website could go down, but you'd always be able to recreate this art. It doesn't live on IPFS. It's all on chain. It's another nice thing. It's resolution agnostic. So 10 years from now, when we have screens that are 50 feet tall, you can blow it up and you won't lose the quality. It's not like a 2000 by 2000 pixel image hosted on IPFS. And we saw this in New York, actually. They had Artblocks events and they had a 30-foot Samsung screen. And it was like awesome seeing some of this stuff generated and put on screen. But anyway, that's a bunch of me gushing about Artblocks. I really think it's a really special platform, and generative art as a whole. Like there are other platforms as well, GMDAO, FXHash, Gen.art. It's not just Artblocks, but Artblocks sort of kicked off this whole Gen art movement.
Yeah, and you bought into GM DAO recently, right? That's actually a recent one. It's fascinating what you said about this stuff. My first question would be like, do you anticipate as part of your thesis in holding these things? Because right now the floor on Fidenzas is 92 Ethereum. So, you talked about long-term cap gains. Looks like you could get $155,000 at least for selling. I believe you said you have one Fidenza left, right? And so is part of your thesis that in the future, right, in a few years, that the traditional art world will, kind of come around and take real interest in these things, and the guys that are paying, X amount for a Jeff Koons or for any of the darlings of the traditional art market will actually turn to things like Fidenzas and other art blocks and other generative art as the next investments that they make?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel confident that not all traditional art collectors will love it, but I think it is growing rapidly as a genre, and you'll have the traditional art world, quote unquote, come in, and we've already seen it happen. There have been some massive collectors come in and buy up, especially Fidenzas and Ringers. I think are two of the biggest examples, and Chromie Squiggles. But you're also seeing a lot of crypto native people. I mean, honestly, like myself, and just so many people who had very little interest in art. And like, go back 2 years, I would never have in my wildest dreams imagined myself as an art collector or like really appreciator or lover or anything like that. But I think the NFT space, because it's making it so easy and convenient to like look at art, talk to the artists, talk to other collectors, collect and appreciate and display. It's like this whole new generation is now growing up and becoming aware of, and this is not just generative art. This includes one-on-one art, all sorts of digital NFT art. You don't have to go into a stuffy gallery now where someone's going to turn up their nose at you and be wearing, really obnoxiously hipster clothes and be like talking in really highbrow language about art. And it's just like you can browse OpenSea in your underwear and look for art and like, oh, that looks cool. And like, with FXHash now on the Tezos network, you can collect and buy stuff for 50 cents, for $1. It doesn't have to be a Fidenza for 100 grand. And so I think there's this really big movement, and a lot more collectors are coming up and appreciating it, because it's really digitally native. It's a lot of it's popular for a lot of the reasons art is popular as it is, which is, it looks nice to the artist, the story, but a lot of the high value stuff, it's like that flex value or that cultural value. It's showing off to others, and maybe instead of having a Koons or a what's his name, Damien Hirst on the wall, you now have a Fidenza on your wall and or your metaverse wall, and people who have money and want to spend on stuff like that and support culture and support artists. And I just think it's my highest conviction bet, and it's hard to imagine that changing.
Which price would you sell your Fidenza at?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So they went to, I think, like $1 million. Like, I think the floor was 2 to 250 ETH, and I have a slightly rare one back when ETH was 3 to 4K, and I didn't sell.
How you feeling about that?
Yeah, I feel fine about it because I never had any intention to sell, and like I took enough profits elsewhere. I always say like I have no real need for the money, and I wouldn't sell it unless I could get a price that is like way above floor or like out of band. And so then I could use the profits to buy back a different Fidenza and hold profits. So, I mean, obviously, if someone like today, the floor's 100 ETH. If someone offered me 500 ETH for mine, I'd probably sell it and I'd go buy another one. I'd pocket 400 ETH. If the floor was 500 ETH, I'd probably not sell it. But like, if the floor was like 2,000, 20,000 ETH, someone off like whatever, something ridiculous, there's always a number, but I don't know what that is.